News Center Maine is partnering with the Maine Monitor to bring you some of the reporting being done by journalists at the nonprofit independent publication. We'll be featuring one of their stories each Monday. Last week, a South Portland man named Evaristo Kalonji vanished while he was on his way to work. His pastor searched for him only to find he'd been detained by immigration agents and was taken out of the state. Kalonji is just one of several Mainers swept up in a sweeping crackdown on immigration in Maine, dubbed Operation Catch of the Day by federal officials. Here to talk about that today is Christian Moravec. Christian, thank you for coming in.
Thank you for having me.
Of course. Tell us about Kalonji, how you confirmed his story.
Right, so Evaristo Kalonji is an Angolan asylum seeker. He's been in the U.S. for a couple of years. People I talked to who knew him describe him as, a very respectful person, hard worker, and everyone was very sure to note that he is very active in his church community. And it was his congregation actually that noticed that something was awry when he didn't show up for work, which resulted in the search and the ultimate revelation that he was detained and in a facility a couple states away. So I was able to locate him in an ICE detainee locator system. I was able to pull details about his pending asylum case in a federal database. And I also looked for any criminal history, and I found nothing.
How does his story fit into the bigger picture of what's happening in Maine with immigration enforcement?
Yeah, so I think, Kalonji's story is interesting, even just if you look within his congregation. I spoke with his pastor, and he described how people are feeling fearful. He's doing stuff online for people who are opting to stay home away from services. He's trying to be available by phone. But he also noted that Kalonji is not the first person within his congregation to be detained by immigration officials. He's actually the fourth within the past 6 months. But he is the only one that we know about who was detained within Operation Catch of the Day. But kind of looking more broadly, Kalonji is not the first person that we've heard of who is moving through a lawful immigration process and appears to have no criminal record. I mean, there's been multiple news reports from a variety of publications of similar situations.
Now, at this point, what do we know about these detentions and who's being targeted? Right,
so information is still pretty limited, I would say. The Department of Homeland Security had claimed earlier this week that it has arrested roughly 200 people in Maine. We don't know exactly who these people are because they have not released a full list of names yet. But there are a couple different groups who are making arguments that a lot of these arrests, both in Maine and nationally, are of people who are moving through processes but have no criminal background. For instance, the Immigrant Legal Advocacy Project, they said recently that cases that it's seen in, they described it as a legal triage, and a lot of these detainees are moving through a lawful immigration process and have no criminal record. It's unclear whether or not we're going to learn more, especially with the recent announcement from Senator Susan Collins that this operation is stopping.
We've also reached out to ICE ourselves and asking more about the 200 detained here in Maine, and we keep getting back the same 4 people. So yeah, interesting, and hopefully we do find out more information later on.
Right.
Christian, thank you so much for coming in. You can read the full story and much more at themaine-monitor.org.